Welcome to this NYX video. She's out. I've said in the last video that I was gonna do a rundown of her abilities and talents, loadouts, etc. I didn't, otherwise the video would have been way too long. So I'm trying my best. I've been re-recording this a few times just to try and make this as short as possible. I don't have a script. I'm not good at making scripts and following them anyway. So I'm kind of going with the flow. Bear with me. So if you don't know who Ramatra is, it's an Overwatch character that's been out since December. It's a tank. He's basically very similar. Same colors, pink, purple-ish. He has punches, he has a slow zone, he has a shield that deploys the same. He has also DOT zone, that's like his ultimate. While on NYX it's not her ultimate, it's her survivability tool. You'll see. Realm Breaker, left click, your auto attacks. Basically, I'm not gonna read like exactly what's written. Energy punches. They deal 125 damage quickly and then 375 damage slowly. You have 3 light attacks and 2 heavy attacks. This chain resets if you miss a shot. It is hit scan, so even though these are punches, these are wave of energies, it's not a projectile, it's all hit scan. Obviously no ammo or reload. You deal extra damage when enemies are within 20 units of you, which is a range that you can increase since 20 units is very, it's almost like melee range, right? So instead of dealing 125 and 375, you will deal 200 and 400 damage. She has a passive where you gain up to 20% bonus healing the closer you are to an objective point, so realistically the payload or the points depending on the game mode. If for some reason you want to play her in TDM, you will have a 10% bonus healing anywhere on the map. Right click, Rift Slash. Basically, you fire a projectile. If it makes contact with an enemy or a wall, or if it attains its maximum range, which scales with how much you charge the ability, it will explode, deal some damage, not the numbers that are written right now since they've nerfed it, then a few DOT, I think it's 54.5 seconds if they haven't changed it. And it will explode again after a short moment. This ability also slows people for 35 seconds that are inside the zone. Your Q, for me it's A, because I have a French keyboard. Shield, simple. You deploy it like an Aura's wall. The furthest you can place it is 90 units. It has 3 main set points where it will lose HP. So initially it will have 4500 health. If you place it a little bit further, it's going to have 3k, and all the way up it's going to have 1500. This is indicated by a small purple bar that will be right above your kit. Your F is Royal Presence. Basically, you summon an aura that lasts 6 seconds. It follows you and it poisons enemies. 5% of maximum health over 6 seconds. This is almost nothing. While this aura is active, you effectively take 75% less damage. Let me explain. If you take a direct hit, let's say from Shaolin, you will take 1k damage. Then this 1k damage will be converted to 250 damage per second for 4 seconds. So effectively you'll take still 1k damage, but because this is converted to DOTs, you'll survive for longer. The cauterize effect is only applied on the initial hit, and the subsequent damage sticks that you get from the DOTs are not going to apply cauterize. This is a great survivability tool for pushing when you know you're going to have eyes on you, make space, especially when you will not have your shield. The ultimate, Chaos Nexus. It's an area stun. So you cast it, you're immune to CC, there's a big circle of 50 units that will pull enemies towards you twice. What happens is you don't pull enemies on top of you, you pull them for a set distance, and this set distance happens twice. After both pulls, you will stun them for 2 seconds, dealing a total of 800 damage with the pulls plus the stun. Now for the talents, we have Show of Force. Right click will knock back enemies. It lasts a second longer, sure. Abyssal Breach. Enemies that pass through your shield are revealed and take 10% additional weapon damage from NYX and her allies, so left clicks only. Reduce Abyssal Fortress cooldown by 2 seconds, so your shield will be on a 10-second cooldowns instead of 12. Subjugation, F reactivation now root. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, your F, if you reactivate it, it pulls enemy towards you. Do not do that, please. It's your second survivability tool, and if you press it again, you cancel it, you waste it. So this talent makes no sense since you do not want to deactivate this ability. I'll show you. Well, the pull does not work currently in the PTS, so we cannot even showcase it. So F reactivation now roots, but only hits the first person and has range increased. The range increase is like nothing. As far as loadouts go, I think there are two main loadouts that you can play. I think this one, the first one that I'm going to showcase, is the best one, even though the second one is playable, but maybe for casual players, you know. So the first loadout, you increase the damage bonus of your left click by 25 units. So if you remember, instead of 20 units, this is going to have 45 units of range, which is pretty good. Little things: reduce the cooldown of your next right click by 0.8 seconds up to a max of 5 seconds when hitting enemies with your left clicks. So you punch people, and when punching, you'll reduce the cooldown of your right click by 5 seconds, effectively making it 4 seconds. Brutal Pursuer increases your movement speed when you cast your right click by 16% for 5 seconds. So this is a pretty long duration for a speed boost. It's only 16%, but remember, 16% is about nimble too. So it's not that bad. Also, it's on cast, it's not on hit, so you can just cast it whatever you want and the bonus will still affect you. You can have that speed boost permanently, since the cooldown is effectively on 4 seconds on your right click, and this lasts for 5 seconds. Obviously, if you have nothing to punch, this is not going to work. Then for filler cards, we use HP. We don't have to run a lot of HP since she already has a fuck ton of base HP. With this card, she's at 5k. And we have True Freedom, but you can put whatever here, to be fair. This card allows you to miss once and not break your combo chain, basically. If you run it higher, it also makes you able to stop attacking and progress the chain again without having it reset for longer. You can pause it for longer, basically. But at level 1, it's 0.05 seconds. You're not going to notice that. The second loadout would be this one. It's pretty much the same. Instead of having movement speed, we have fire rate when passing through the shield. 20% for 3 seconds. 3 seconds is basically one chain of attacks. So 3 light attacks and 1 heavy attack. I don't think the second heavy attack gets affected. So you have to continuously go through your shield to get the buff again. So that's why I think it's a bit iffy, and 20% is not that much anyway. You'll see what I mean. For the talent, we are going to choose Abyssal Breach. Since Show Force will knock back enemies, I'm still going to showcase this. But because you knock back enemies so far away, you don't make use of the slow of the right click, and you don't make use of the damage either. Also, you knock them out of your effective range. This is a character that wants to be close to people. You don't want to knock them away from you. It's counterintuitive to have a knockback on a character that wants to pull enemies, especially when she has a pull on 2 of her abilities already. Subjugation is bad for the simple reason that I told you earlier, and Abyssal Breach is, in my opinion, the best one. So this is your spells rotation. If you are holding an area, the best way to do so, holding an area will be easier with your shield first. And once the shield goes down, you can press your F button.
Killing spree.
And once this goes down, you almost have your shields back. Alright.
This round will be mine.
And you have your F back.
Everything will be.
And this is a constant rotation. So that's what's good about it. Now you can also decast your shield if you missed it for some reason. Beware of casting your shield too fast. If you are aiming somewhere, at times the shield will go way over there or way too close for no reason. So I suggest you still take a little bit of time. Instead of rapid casting it, just at least take the time to see where it is going to spawn. So to punish people, you have 2 options. You can place your shield right behind them, force them to retreat with your right click by pushing them, right? Since you have movement speed and you slow them down, and they'll have to instinctively go back. So by walking backwards, they'll walk into your shields. Now you have a shield in front of them that's blocking their damage, plus they are debuffed and revealed at least 3 seconds. If they enter the shield again, the debuff duration will refresh. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it would be punishing somebody that's too aggressive and pushing too much. You can place your shield right in front of them, just like so, and they will inadvertently move into the shield. Then 2 things can happen. You start obviously hurting them more, and they would panic and walk backwards, but then again your shield is still there, or they'll keep pressing W, and you should kill them if this was a genuine mistake by this player. So something that I noticed is if you are close to your target, you can press your shield button and you have to cast it, so not right on top of you, but you can cast it a little bit in front of you, like so, to force them to go inside, and by going backwards, then you can even place it a bit closer than what I did. Then they'll try to probably go and move backwards or out of the way. And there's a chance that they walk backwards and your shield is still in between you and them. So you still have the advantage over them. They can't fight back. What I was doing was putting the shield right there to debuff them, but effectively you are going to pull them anyway if you're at that range, so you were better off putting it right here to have that benefit of, oh, if they walk backwards, you still have the shield to protect you. Let's say they had resilience or something, right? So what you can do is if you're on max range or about max range, what you should do is place your shield right about here, so that when you pull enemies, they're still going to go through the shield. So as you can see, I have the dots here to help me, but you're gonna get used to it after a while. So about this distance, so that when you ult them, this will happen.
The power. You can't resist me.
They are inside the shield, they can get hit, and they can't really fight back either because same situation. There will be a shield between you and them. Also, make sure that every time you will ult, if you are not completely healthy and the enemies are extremely weakened or something, you should always have either your Q up to be able to protect you or your F ability while ulting. This is very important. You can then use your right click right after stunning them. What I suggest is to not use your right click if they went through your shield, because otherwise you will lose some timing on the debuff, because the debuff doesn't affect your right click damage, it's only affecting your punches. Also, one important thing to say about this ult, you do not use it if you are the last man alive, or if you are in an extremely lose-lose situation, basically. It's like a Fernando ult, you do not use this when you're the last man alive, that serves no purpose. Same here. You are not solo killing anybody with this ultimate if they are full health. Alright? That's something you need to know. Your character doesn't have any mobility, so by the time you start hitting them, they'll be around half health, and they can just get away. The easiest way to cast this ult would be to also wait for the enemy team to have used their mobility skills, so that you can cast it easily, because there's a slight casting time where you can react, right?
You can't resist me.
It's like 0.5 seconds, which is way enough to react to such an ult. Be mindful of that. So the other loadouts is basically if you are only going to play the way I showed you with the rotations, almost always, which means that you'll be able to do something like this, although I think it's pretty stupid.
The power of a rune.
As you can see, I have to rotate quite often and go through my shield several times so that I am able to keep the buff for as long as possible. If you do it like this, you lose it instantly after the first sets of attacks. So after your 3 light attacks and 2 heavy attacks, then the buff is gone. The fact that you have to play around your shield like that is pretty bad if you are face to face with an enemy, which means that they can hit you, they can apply cauterize on you, and this can be pretty bad depending on the situation. At times it can be affordable. If they play on the side of your shield, you can play like a Barrack or an Ashe, the same way you would do it with their shields, is place it down and play on the sides like this to not get hit and also benefit from the attack speed boost. If the enemy player is going through your shield while doing this, you also have the benefits of the 10% damage increase, which is pretty nice. Your DPS goes way up in this situation. But this is rare, this is niche. Nobody's ever going to try to go through your shield in this fashion usually. That rarely happens even with tanks that are currently out. So bear that one in mind if you're going to play like this. It's a little bit niche. What you can do though is place your shield when zoning, alright? So let's say you're playing on Serpent Beach. You see the enemy Barrack on his horse trying to touch the point. What you can do is place your shield right below the bridge and he will be forced to go through the shield to touch the point, and this way he will eat the 10% debuff in the face and you will be able to melt him right after he touched, or even before if you're lucky enough. So that has been it. This character has nothing really special to it. It's a pretty basic tank. As you can see, the abilities are really similar to Ramatra. It's very funny, but anyway, that has been it. I'll be releasing gameplay soon when I'm able to play, since the PDS didn't allow me to find any games today. Since the dev stream is today too, I hope more players will come and we'll be able to get a few games for you guys. Remember to like, that will help me a lot. Subscribe also if you don't want to miss any videos. Click the bell, blah blah blah, you know the deal. Thanks for watching.